Hello, welcome to my series about all Chopin's music. Today's episode is about this demonic music. Prelude in F minor, opus 28, number 18. What is this? Maybe many of you already know that it sounds like a recitativo from Italian. You know, the part in opera where before aria, when we have a lot of text, declamation, and it's very narrative. So the actor or the opera singer is telling a lot of text. So instead of just singing aria, we have this speaking like parts. And the characteristic of recitative is that the opera singer is usually quite fast, is saying something. There is a declamation, and from time to time we have the orchestra with one chord or two chords. I strongly recommend you to listen to some recitatives on YouTube, recitativos, because surely this was an inspiration for Chopin. But you know, I also found, I was thinking a lot about this prelude, and I found another, maybe closer to the truth, inspiration for Chopin. There is a piece of music written by young Frédéric Chopin that also contains a recitative. And I'm sure you know, if you like Chopin, I'm sure you know this piece because it's very famous. In his very first concerto for piano and orchestra, also in F minor, like this prelude, this concerto in F minor was published as a number 2, but in fact it was written before E minor, so it is the first one. Chopin decided to use in the middle part, Larghetto, the beautiful music about love. He decided to write a recitative. And how does it sound, this recitative? Excuse me. I know it from memory, but I haven't played for a while, so I need a score for that. But anyway, this exactly is how it sounds. You know, the orchestra has the tremolo, and then orchestra. And now listen to this. This this is very similar. Then we have and this is taken from the prelude, or prelude takes some part from this moment. Okay, enough. So, what do I think? When I imagine Chopin in Mallorca, this piece was not written before, so he composed it in Mallorca. And here comes the idea, okay, Chopin is thinking, I still don't have the F minor prelude. I have to figure out something. What to do? And then he reminds himself of the concerto in F minor. And he thought, maybe that's quite an idea to write something similar from. Maybe I take the recitative, but I will make it more dramatic. So when Chopin was 17, 18, when he composed F minor concerto, he was in love, he was happy, he never experienced a drama. Later, as we know, his life was completely different, and in Mallorca his mood was completely different. So I like to imagine that we have like two different Chopins, two versions of Chopin in these recitatives. The first 18 years old in concerto in F minor, and now we have Chopin much more mature in this prelude. That's why it's so dramatic. But of course, it can also be some scene, opera scene, or some image. In this piece, we pianists have a lot of freedom in interpretation, because we can do anything, because we need to make an illusion of declamation. The only thing we cannot do is we cannot play it literally, just like it's written. If somebody plays it literally like it's written, it simply means that he or she doesn't have a knowledge about history of music, because this is obvious that it's a recitative. Even for Chopin it was obvious, so he didn't really have to write exactly, please play like a recitative, or even worse, here slower, here faster, here slower, here faster. It seems to me that for Chopin it was not that important how somebody will declamate, will be making this declamation. But this is very important. How would it sound literally? How it is written? Well, it will sound horrible, but I have to play it for you so that you know what's in the score, how it is written. It's enough, I think. Well, definitely we cannot play like this. It is dead. This music which I played is simply dead. Of course, it's still Chopin, we still feel the drama, but there is no imagination and no interpretation in this music. And now when we know it's recitative, we know that, well, I call it like a exercise for how to make declamation in music. Well, not only me. I think it was some musicologist. I think I have it in the book, who wrote something similar. Yes, of course, Mr. Jabłczyński. I told you about him. He wrote a book about all the preludes. And he wrote about this prelude, he wrote that this seems to be an etude of how to learn the art of declamation. Beautiful words, and I fully agree. It's up to the pianist how he will make a declamation, because it all depends on which note, on the text. Well, actually, it depends on the text. When in a recitative we have the text, and when we have something important, then we slow down. We make those notes, those words more important. So we need more time for this. We never sing, well, I call it a singing, but it's more speaking. Recitative even with the metronome. We cannot do it, of course. So there is a lot of emotions, and all depends on the imagination of the pianist. And I myself can play it for you on many different ways, every time differently, depending on where I want to put a very important statement. But now let's make an analysis. And first of all, I will play it for you again, a little slower, and let's listen to the soloist, so maybe a pianist in the piano concerto or the singer, but the pianist sounds better because it's very virtuosic. So it reminds me of the recitative from his piano concerto. And so the pianist and the orchestra. Okay, so listen, pianist here, orchestra, pianist, orchestra. Now solo. Orchestra, orchestra. Orchestra. And this was part A. So we have longer statements of the soloist and only short chords of the orchestra. Now it will be the same, but everything will be shorter. I mean, the statements of the soloist will be shorter. Listen. Orchestra. Soloist. Orchestra. Soloist. Orchestra. Soloist. Orchestra. Soloist. Orchestra. Soloist. Orchestra. Sorry, soloist, orchestra, soloist, orchestra. And now it's very important part. We have one chord which plays orchestra, another which plays soloist. Orchestra, soloist, orchestra, soloist. Listen. And the end. Well, we will talk soon about all this. But now I just wanted to make an analysis of the structure of this piece. Now let's see how this solo part is constructed. So we have, at the beginning, we have a typical Chopin's phrase. Maybe some of you already noticed. You remember from my videos, short, short, long. Short, short, long, right? So here, and these two shorts are the same. So here we have the same. Short, short, and long. Short, short, and long. And this is the first part. Now, what is the melody? The declamation melody. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 10 notes. And not all of them are equally important. When it comes to the energy and when it comes to the composition. There is a skeleton of this melody. So if I take out all the notes which are not important, we only have the skeleton, which sounds like this. This is like the skeleton, the most important part. And then what additional notes do we have here? We have seconds, of course. Seconds. So we have before every note of this skeleton, we have a second, minor second. Sorry. And here is the major second. So 2 minor seconds and a major second. And then this continuation is all based on the suspensions every time of suspended notes made up with seconds as well. So also we can find the skeleton here. It's a little bit more complicated, but it is possible. Let's listen to the skeleton of this. That's the skeleton. And everything sounds like this. I will play for you these seconds now separated so that you can hear them. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we have the second part of the phrase. I think one of the secrets of playing this prelude well is finding all the seconds here and how to say, meditate on them, make them important, because they create this atmosphere of pain, of drama, of terror, of panic. Definitely this is the way. So then everything is repeated. Let's listen to this for a second time. And then after this chord of the orchestra, bam, we have the second part. And here we have shorter statements of the solo person. This one, and the third one, and the fourth one is a little longer. Okay, so this is the second part, and everything is separated with chords, orchestra chords, right? This all the chords sound scary. And why? Well, just to show you at the very beginning of the prelude, when we have the first chord, sorry, this chord, you wouldn't believe me, but it consists 3 seconds next, excuse me, 3 notes, but 2 seconds. 2 seconds next to each other. So, you know, this, I play for you now. What are these notes? We call it a cluster, I think, in 20th century music. It was used in 20th century music a lot. Here Chopin is using. So we have, we don't even think for a second about another mood than feeling frightened, scared, and some panic and some horror, definitely. And here, maybe somebody is begging for mercy. shortest statement. And now here is the last part of the prelude. And for me this is really very scary, and the image that I have in my mind is giving me goosebumps. Because here I see somebody who is, well, almost killed. He's just about to be killed. And this now, it's like, ah! The last screams, you know, again. And then the fight. Orchestra, soloist, orchestra, soloist, orchestra, and then orchestra, soloist, orchestra, soloist, orchestra, soloist. Listen. Now, sorry. Then from here, when we reach the last note, this is the last scream. Ah! And then everything, I mean, this person maybe just falls down from a very high point and just collapse on the floor and die. Because this is like just crash the earth. Like, you know, the end of everything. So maybe this prelude was like a fight. Maybe the evil tried to catch some person, some girl maybe. We can open our imagination. We should open our imagination, especially when we play it, but also when we listen, because especially this end provokes certain images. So again, this fight here. What is this? I have to tell you, I was thinking about it quite a lot. Why at the end Chopin writes something like this, the short staccato notes in the bass? I was thinking and thinking many days, and one day I asked myself a question. If I were Chopin, or if I were a composer and I wanted to finish such a piece with this in the bass, like that, what I would like to transmit. And then suddenly it came to my head, of course, wicked laughter of a devil. Oh. You know, like in some cartoons. Well, cartoon is not a good example, but some video or something. Well, the imagination, I mean, my imagination opens and is ho. And then when I found this image, immediately everything was in its place. Before this laughter, somebody was probably killed, captured and killed completely. And before, there is the whole scene of kind of conversation, recitativo, you know, where the orchestra part is evil part. We have always these harsh chords, and the soloist is having a declamation and trying to say something, maybe trying to beg for mercy or explain himself, whatever we want. But definitely, when I think about it like that, my playing becomes different. So now I want to play it for you again, and I will play it differently than at the beginning. And let's open our imagination and see the image. God, I'm afraid of my piano when I play it, because you can destroy the piano with this prelude, especially in the end. That's how evil it is. That's it. Thank you very much, and see you again in my next analysis. Bye bye.